Before we get into this special weekend edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. You've heard me talking for over 5 years now about how PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition and Dr. Ashley Lucas, the founder, helped me lose weight and helped me keep it off. They literally changed my life. I always enjoy spending some time with Dr. Lucas. Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Joey.
Always a pleasure. Let's just talk about, of course, we're in the spring. We're starting to see things bloom. The trees are coming out, flowers blooming. It's that time of the year. We're talking about spring. We're thinking about summer. And, of course, we're thinking about being out on the lake and the beach and getting into those swimsuits. What kind of advice can you give us?
Mm-hmm. Spring is my favorite season. I love the flowers blooming. And I do think it gives us, a feeling of renewal. And I think a lot of people believe that dropping weight has to be difficult. It has to take a long time. We have to take medications and do wild things to experience big changes, but that's not true. I like the saying, small hinges swing big doors. You can make small, simple changes and you will witness huge results. Most of our men drop about 3.5, sometimes 4 pounds a week on average. Most of our women, 2.5, sometimes 3 pounds a week. So it can happen quickly. I mean, you can be in a total different 2 sizes down, 3 sizes down by the time summer hits. So if you are thinking, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming, don't let that stop you. Action alleviates anxiety. Just take the first step and you will be surprised how painless it really is.
Well, and I found that to be true, again, almost 5 years ago now. And I lost just over 30 pounds in 3 months. I mean, I was amazed at how quickly I did that. I wasn't hungry. I felt good. And it's just really a great program because it's based on the science of nutrition.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I was chatting with a client, Carlo, and he dropped about 39 pounds in 10 weeks. Unbelievable. About 3.9 pounds per week was his average. And before then, he had tried to be vegan. He tried to run a lot. He loved to run. I actually had to pull down his mileage. So we think, again, we have to do these crazy things. We've been told to eat less and move more and exercise and take all these drugs. But by shifting the way that you eat, the timing of when you eat, getting your body the right foods that work for your unique metabolism, you can drop weight so quickly without hunger, without cravings. It feels like a miracle, but it's totally possible.
Yeah. And, I think back and so many things that you taught me and Dr. Ashley Lucas with me today, it's just sort of common sense. But the thing that I liked about PhD was the accountability. I had a great coach. My coach was Tara starting out. And just knowing that I had someone there to call, to talk with, to visit with each week, and knowing that they were going to hold me accountable, that's a big part of the program, or it was for me.
Yeah, I think that's right, Joey, for the majority of people. I mean, all we do is weight loss and we are experts in it. And our coaches are amazing. They're highly trained in nutrition, and they are also highly trained in behavior change. I think 80% of any change comes from the mind. And I look at weight loss as a process of letting go, right? It's letting go of the excess fat weight that no longer serves you, but also all of those emotions that are tied to it. So if you don't work on the behavior, the mindset, the way you think about food, even if you do drop weight, it's just a matter of time until it comes back. I think for a lot of people, weight loss is an addiction recovery process. So we really have to work on what's going inside, not just with your metabolism, but also with your mindset, and having that weekly one-on-one coaching to hold you accountable and to also tweak your meal plan, because as you slim down, your dietary needs change, Joey. So as you were going through the program, you probably noticed we tweaked your meal plan so you would see continued success, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's not a static thing. It's very dynamic. And our coaches are just great at helping you to continue to see success and change the mind and behaviors behind the reason why we eat the way we do.
And in the past when I had tried to do this on my own, I would get to a point, maybe I would lose 10, 15 pounds, but then I would hit a plateau and I couldn't seem to
Mhm.
get past that. And that's where your coach and your program helped me go beyond places that I've been able to get to on my own in the past.
Yeah, coaches are able to tell you the truth as to what you need to hear. Whereas when we're doing it alone, emotion can get the best of you, right? You can say, oh my gosh, I look and feel good enough. Or, oh my, I'm plateaued and I'm working so hard. I might as well just eat that brownie when that is not the truth. And you need sometimes the hard truth from someone outside who can look at what's happening and help you continue to move the needle.
Yeah. Well, and the old saying, the truth hurts sometimes.
I know it does.
But again, that's the accountability. That's what I love so much about the program. Now, a minute ago, you mentioned the medical field and pharmaceuticals, and since I started the program, I started pre-COVID, and
Yes.
we saw a lot of things change during COVID, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But we've also seen the weight loss industry, if you will, change some in the past year, 2 years, because it's so easy now for people to go to their doctor and get a prescription for one of the shots. But that's not, it may be a shortcut, but it's not for long-term gain, is it?
The problem that I see is it doesn't tackle the root cause issue. There are significant long-term side effects, and we're finding more and more of them, like sudden onset blindness. There's a 900% increased risk of pancreatitis from which we can die from. 450% increased risk of bowel obstruction that needs surgical intervention. The majority of people who get off the drugs, and most of them do within 2 years because of the cost and because they feel nauseous and sick and tired, 70% of those folks regain the majority of their weight within 1 year of dropping it. And 40% of the weight loss comes from muscle. Joey, this is a huge issue because muscle mass is our metabolic currency. It is the driver of health. And as we age, it's actually really hard to maintain our muscle mass. So the fact that people are dropping weight, but the majority being muscle, they end up fatter than they were before. Metabolically, they are worse off in the end. So it does seem like a kind of magic, easy fix, but it's the shortcut is just not the answer. You really want to be able to drop weight and keep it off. At least that's my goal for every single client that comes into PhD.
Joining me today, Dr. Ashley Lucas, founder of PhD Weight Loss. We mentioned a minute ago COVID, and I started the program prior to COVID. And during that period of time when there was so much uncertainty, people were in their homes, businesses closed, you discovered that you didn't necessarily have to come in and have that face to face. You
Mhm.
started your virtual visits, and that has really helped a lot of people who maybe live outside of the area of one of your offices, Greenville, Asheville, Charlotte, or whatever, or they
Mhm.
just can't make that drive because you can do the program virtually as well.
That's right. We've had so many, it started off with friend and family referrals out of town. So we always had a nationwide program, even from the beginning when I started this company in 2015. And then it just continued to blossom. And then that's right, during COVID, we pivoted very quickly and we were helping everyone from the comfort of their own home. And then once everything opened back up, our local clients came back in. Some of them stayed at home. And since then, we now have clients in every state in the nation. We have served over 10,500 people, collectively drop over 466,000 pounds nationwide. And our at-home, over-the-phone clients have just as much success, or even more so, than our local in-office clientele. So it has been so remarkable. We have a team of 25 nutritionists supporting just our nationwide clientele. So yeah, it can be done from anywhere, any place, and it's been so much fun.
Yeah. So, Dr. Lucas, if there's someone who is watching us today, listening to us, and they're thinking, okay, I need to lose some weight. I want to do it as we go into the spring and the summer. What's your advice to them? How do they get started?
The best way to get started with us is to give us a call. give us a call and we'll get you scheduled with one of our nutritionists because our program is customized to each individual. So we need to learn about you and your story and what your health history is and what your goals are. So, for example, your program will look different than what Joey's program looked like. So this initial consultation, it's short, it's sweet. Our nutritionists are super compassionate. And from that appointment, you'll know exactly the length, the cost of your program. You'll have all of your questions answered. And then it's just up to you to decide if you are ready to make a big change in your life. An exciting one, though.
It is exciting. It's very exciting. And again, I will soon be coming up on my 5-year anniversary, and it was the best thing that I've ever done. You can go to myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com, get all the information that you need to get started. And if you're thinking about this, if you know that you need to lose weight, you need to get healthy, let's start today. Let's get the ball rolling, as we say, and make that phone call and get started. And in a few weeks, you too can be talking about losing 10, 20, 30 pounds or more. I've had people who have been longtime friends of mine, people who listen to me on the radio, who have lost 50, 60. One of my high school friends lost 125 pounds. I didn't recognize him when I saw him. So, these are the types of success stories that you see every day, right?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, if you've got 10, 20 pounds to drop or 100, 150 plus, we have helped people no matter the situation. If you can't move your body very much, like there are no excuses. Really, the decision that you need to make, or the question you need to ask yourself is if your desire to change significantly outweighs your desire to stay the same. And if you say yes to this, then, oh my gosh, the transformation and the journey will be a really amazing one.
Yeah. Dr. Lucas, thank you again for your time, and thank you for what you did for me, helping me, but what you're doing to help other people as well.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. Thanks so much, Joey.
Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Coming up in just a few weeks, you're going to see people all around the Palmetto State doing some spring cleaning. It's called SC Sweep, and it's a statewide cleanup effort that takes place between April the 25th and May the 4th. On our guest line today is Palmetto Pride Awareness and Education Program Manager, Esther Wagner. Welcome, Esther. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing well.
It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for your time. All right, so you have a lot going on. So take a minute and give us the 30,000-foot view of what Palmetto Pride is all about.
So we started out as the Governor's Task Force on Litter back in 1999, and we morphed into a 501c3, and we are the South Carolina's statewide litter prevention organization. We're not the litter pickup organization. We're not the recycling organization. We are litter prevention. And we have a 4-pronged approach. We work with education, of course. We have several education programs. We get into the schools. We want to teach them young. We want to grab them young before they make the mistakes. And then we also have awareness, which is where we're out trying to reach the adults. And then we have an enforcement program as well. We work with law enforcement, try to provide them with what they need to enforce the litter laws, especially the illegal dumping. And also just trying to convince them, sometimes we have to explain to them why they need to be enforcing it. Some enforcement agencies do not have the manpower. They don't think they have the manpower that they need. And so we try to work with them to come up with what they need. And then, of course, we have awareness. We're always working on awareness, making people anywhere, adults, children. I was just at Palmetto Sportsman's Classic with our little talking trash can, talking about litter there. And then our final one is you can tell I'm half asleep. Our final one is, what did I not hit? Oh, litter pickup.
Yes.
Litter pickup is our final prong of our program. And of course, that's what most people know about. That's what most people hear. And when I tell people I work for Palmetto Pride, they say, oh yeah, I pick up litter. They think that's what we do. But litter pickup is it is necessary but it is the worst way to deal with litter.
Yeah.
Once it's in the environment, it's almost impossible to remove litter, especially styrofoam. When you throw out styrofoam, it just gets smaller and smaller, and it's almost impossible to get it all picked up.
Yeah.
So litter pickup is one of the prongs that we do, and it's the one that we get the most interest in. But it is literally the least effective approach to litter prevention.
Yeah, because I mean, it just makes sense, Esther. If you educate people, and as you said, you get them early not to throw it out to begin with, then you don't have to pick it up.
Right.
Yeah.
But we also have to reach the adults, because it's the adults that are littering. The kids aren't the ones throwing out those beer cans. The little, I hope not. They're not the ones throwing out those cigarette butts. It's those who are older who are doing it, and all the way up to, I've seen people who are in their 80s and 90s that are littering.
Yeah. You mentioned enforcement earlier, and I understand, the different law enforcement agencies around the state, they're just overwhelmed with what they're doing. But does every single, let's say, sheriff's office in the state, I mean, is that part of what they do? If an officer sees someone littering, then are they part of that enforcement effort?
We hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the case.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, first of all, our law enforcement officers are doing so much, and they're all overworked. I have a niece who is a law enforcement officer. I don't blame them if they see someone littering and they say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with that at the moment.
Yes, I get that.
Yeah. But yes, there are many that they understand that litter is a harbinger of other crimes, and they work hard to prevent litter.
Yeah.
And they deal with, anytime they see someone littering, they're going to address it.
Yeah.
But others don't really see the value, maybe not the value of it, maybe they don't see it as that important yet. But as I said, litter is a harbinger of other crimes. They have done research. They had 3 different parks in Pennsylvania that were in close proximity to each other, and they allowed one to remain littered. They cleaned up somewhat in one, and the other they cleaned completely. Yeah. And then each park had its day in the sun. They rotated around, and in every case, in every instance, the crime in the littered areas were higher than in the unlittered park.
That makes sense.
And even gun violence was lowered by 30% simply by cleaning up the park.
Yeah. Well, it just makes sense. And look, when I drive down the road, and there's an area near our home at Lake Kiowee right now that I just get angry when I drive down the road, because sometime in the last couple of weeks, it's pretty obvious, someone has driven down the road and they've tossed out tires, because every 100 to 150 feet, there's a tire on the side of the road. And there's probably 50 down this stretch of the road. And at some point, I guess I'm going to have to go pick them up. But, I mean, that's obvious. Somebody did that purposely. They had a truckload of tires they need to get rid of.
Yes. And by the way, let me know what county that's in, and we may be able we need to address that, definitely. Sure. But yes, that is an issue. There are several counties. So Greenville County has come up with a program. One of the problems is that the tire shops someone will come up and say, I'll take your tires and dispose of them. And they pay them, this person, so much money to take their tires and dispose of them. And this person, rather than going to the dump and disposing of them and having to pay that fee that they have to pay to dump tires, they just go dump it somewhere. Yeah. Well, we're working to catch those people. And one of the things that Greenville County is doing is they have a program where if you are a person who disposes of tires, who's going to be disposing of tires, you have to sign up. It's not expensive. And you have a sticker on your truck. And that way, if you get pulled over, if a law enforcement officer sees you pulling trucks and pulling tires and does not see that sticker, then they're going to pull you over and inform you of the program first. And then if they continue to see you and you don't have a sticker, then you'll be fined. Yeah. And that is helping it. We're asking the tire companies to not to work with anyone except those that have that sticker.
Yeah, that makes sense. With me today from Palmetto Pride, Esther Wagner. Let's get back to the education, though, because and educating our young people, that's I'm intrigued with the talking trash can, by the way. But the young people, we've had just some horrific fires up in the upstate, the Table Rock, Persimmon Ridge. And we have learned that those most likely were started by some teenagers who threw down cigarette butts. Now, first off, tossing cigarette butts is littering, but secondly, in this case, it caused a lot of damage. It put lives at harm.
Right. And in the Table Rock fire instance, law enforcement actually were there on the scene looking for the missing hiker, who now, the attention is taken away from that. Yeah. And they actually saw the teens. In fact, the teens and the officers were temporarily trapped by that fire until the fire department was able to get there and clear it up. But that is, incidentally, I think right now they're saying it's over $3 million in cost to for that fire.
That would not surprise me, and it wouldn't surprise me if it becomes even more. I mean, they have spent, hundreds and hundreds of man hours and the equipment, and again, just the people who had to evacuate their homes, and look, the community really rallied to help, but that it's been a lot.
Yeah. Think about the firefighters that are missing. The prom nights, the different things with their kids, the birthday parties, all of those things that they're missing because of this fire. But I do want to draw attention to the fact it's not just kids. This happened to be some teenagers. Yeah. Now, they were adult. One was a minor, but the three were adults. But I mean, they did what they have seen being done. Yeah. It's on television shows. It's, the cool rock and roll guys, they flick their butt. That's what they do. They've been seeing it. And so it's not that I don't blame them. It's that I'm not going to come down hard on them for making a mistake. Sure. That they see people do every day, and it's not really enforced. Yeah. But I also want to draw attention to, yesterday was the 11-year anniversary of the Riverwood Farms fire in Greer. Yes. That cost at least $1.76 million in damage to homes. 3 children had to be rescued out of one of the homes. Right. It was a huge amount. Do you remember that fire in Greer?
I live in Greer. I do remember that. Yes.
Yeah. The fire department actually found the littered cigarette butt on the side of the road and the V-shaped burn mark that left the end of that butt and spread out into that community. And just think about all of the people that were stuck. If you remember, there were people. It was causing smoke even out on the interstate, and people were sitting idling on the interstate because of the traffic tie-ups. Think about all the fuel that was burned needlessly while they were sitting there on the stuck because of smoke, and all of the air quality damage that was done just by that gasoline burning, not even because of the fires burning all of the items in the house that were toxic.
Yeah. On our guest line today, Palmetto Pride Awareness and Education Program Manager, Esther Wagner. Let's talk for a minute. In your 2024 annual report, you have some pretty impressive numbers, and let me just read a couple here. 1,433,806 pounds of litter removed from roads and natural areas. Additionally, 641,455 pounds of trash removed from state roads as part of your Adopt a Highway program. You have multiple programs that people can be involved in. Talk with us, Esther, about if someone's listening today and they think, I have some free time, I'd like to be involved in this. How can they be involved?
Well, first of all you got to do is walk out your door with a garbage bag. Yes. Pair of gloves and a garbage bag, walk out your door and start picking up what you find. You'll find stuff quickly. But if you need some help with that, you can always contact either your local Keep South Carolina Beautiful affiliate, and you can look that up on our website, or you can contact Palmetto Pride, and we will provide free litter pickup supplies, even a pickup stick, although I don't use a pickup stick. I've picked up a lot of litter, and I think pickup sticks are kind of annoying. So it's not necessary. Yeah. I just use gloves and a bag and my waist. That's what I do. Contact us for litter pickup supplies. You can also Adopt a Highway. That is a Department of Transportation program, but we manage it for them. And we also have what's called clean teams. If you don't want to pick up a specific roadway, or maybe you've got children that you want to get involved and you don't want them picking up on the side of the road, you can become a clean team and just pick a park or some other green space that you want to work on. You can just decide, I'm going to, 4 times a year, I'll just go out somewhere and find a place that needs picked up. You don't have to pick a specific place.
Sure.
So that's what I do. I just go out and look for litter that needs to be picked up.
Yep.
I don't have a specific spot.
Yep.
But we also have coming up here, and I can't think of the dates right at the moment. Let me look. It is April. SC Sweeps is coming up here in from April
25th.
25th. Yes,
Yeah,
thank
through,
you.
Through May the 4th.
And pardon?
Through May the 4th.
Yes, through May the 4th.
Yeah.
And what we're asking is for everyone to get out and sign up, go on to our website at palmettopride.org and take the pledge and sign up to do litter pickup. And there are some prizes available. Local pickups will have some swag and things to give away. But just go out and help pick up for that period of time. You can also participate in the Keep America Beautiful pickup, the Greatest American Cleanup. Every first day of spring through to the last day of summer is the Great American Cleanup every year by Keep America Beautiful. But this year, and in 2026, they are doing the Greatest American Cleanup because it is our country's 250th birthday is in 2026, and they're asking every American citizen to go on their website and take the pledge to pick up 250 pieces of litter in honor of our 250th birthday. I did it in 50 minutes the other night. Took me less than 3/10 of a mile, unfortunately, near my house to pick up. Took me about 50 minutes. Half a bag of litter is what I got in my 250 pieces. It was a lot of little stuff.
Yeah. And as Esther said, you don't have to be officially part of Adopt a Highway program or whatever. Just keep your street clean and with whatever bags you have available. But if you'd like to participate in a group effort, just go to palmettopride.org, palmettopride.org, and look at all the various programs. And Esther, we have about a minute left. I want to touch on, I know that you have an art contest, you have an annual grant program. If there's a teacher potentially listening to us and she would like some information for her classroom, talk with us about that for a minute.
Go to palmettopride.org and you can see all the details. We just did the presentation for this year on last Thursday and awarded a student from Berkeley County the prize. And she had a beautiful piece, and it will become a mural in her community. Wow. We will pay for the artwork to be turned into a mural in her community. So they can look online.
Yep. Again, palmettopride.org if you'd like to be involved, and if you have maybe some young people, a church group, but again, as Esther said, just do your part. Just grab a bag and clean up the area around your home, and that will go a long way in getting our country clean for our 250th birthday for sure. Esther, thank you for your time. Appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
On our guest line today, Matt Wills. He's Vice President of Government Affairs for the Greenville Chamber. Matt's responsible for monitoring what is happening at all levels of government with a particular focus on the political issues facing business owners. It's a pleasure to have you back, Matt. Welcome.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right. So for once, let's lead with something other than tort reform. We've talked
anything but tort reform.
Yeah, we've talked tort reform for months probably here. All right, so last week we touched on the House and the Senate GOP leaders announcing what was billed as a tax reduction, taking the state tax rate from 6.2 down to 3.99 next year, with potential to be lowered even further to 2.49. However, and that's a big however, groups have come out of the woodwork this week. There was a fiscal impact report released earlier in the week, and it appears maybe this is not a tax reduction for everyone. There are groups now saying that this is potentially a tax increase for some. Can you help us out here? Maybe bring us some clarity.
Sure. So I think there, from the get-go in this particular discussion, there was this perspective that, hey, we're going to lower taxes for everybody. But in doing that, without creating any offsets or creating any other taxes to replace that, what do you have to do? You've got to broaden the tax base. And that brings in folks that have never paid taxes before or traditionally haven't paid taxes based on what they've made. And that's exactly what the House bill is proposed to do. It is taking our effective tax rate from 6.2% down to 3.99% initially, which creates a lowering for some, for the folks that are continuing, that have paid taxes in the past. But yes, it does effectively increase taxes for folks that haven't paid taxes before. And then there are triggers within this bill based on revenue numbers that the state gets to that would take that rate down to a flat 2.49%. There has been some discussion this week after some news reports and the fiscal impact statement came out that said, look, maybe we should start at the lower number and just keep it there. That lowers taxes for everyone, for the most part, except for the folks that haven't paid them before. But yeah, this issue got a little muddy, and it got muddy pretty quickly.
Well, I had some people on, as I mentioned, you and I talked about it briefly last week. I've had some people on the show in earlier part of the week talking about, this is something we've been working towards. This is going to be great. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly it was like overnight. You started seeing these posts on social media and various places, and I started getting emails and text messages, and you could tell it was coming from a coordinated effort because it was the same talking points. But I mean, sure, they're valid questions. For example, the South Carolina Freedom Caucus, in some of their social media posts, they say that a family making $63,000 will pay $738 more in taxes each year. They also cite the case of a single mom making the median income will pay $716 more per year. They talk about that this bill will increase taxes for 66% of the state. That's kind of hard to swallow if you thought you were going to get a tax decrease.
Sure, and again, this is one of those policy decisions that I think that electeds have to make at some point in time, and saying, all right, do we go ahead and bite the bullet early and maybe have a little bit of heartburn to begin with, and then it starts to level out and starting to flatten itself out to where it normalizes, as we get to the lower percentage numbers that bring us below our neighboring states, and make us a little bit more competitive for workforce folks in South Carolina. But yes, there is this consternation currently about, hey, what is this actually doing right now? Because we didn't do this before, and now we're paying this. It's a little bit different way to think about things, and it's a different way to kind of account for things that the state has done before. But I think eventually, when we get down to that 2.49 number, or get that down to that 2.5% number, things will start to shake themselves out. There is some talk currently about, when the House moves this particular bill, which is in Ways and Means this week, will probably be reported out to the floor. They'll probably look at some of these things, but there is a lot of discussion currently of the Senate looking at it with a little bit more detail and saying, hey, maybe we can get this less painful early and just make it what it is. That we wanted to get to with the triggers to get us down to that 2.5 number, and maybe even lower than that.
Yeah.
To make some triggers get in place to get us down to a 0%. But we can't. Going from where we are, getting and lowering it is going to be a process. It was always going to be a process, and there was going to be some heartburn across the board somewhere along the line. But I think it's a positive step in a very good direction. I think certainly these the heads are in the right spot. Maybe we can work on the process of this a little bit to make it a little bit less, contentious and a little less painful to begin with. But I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yep. Matt Will's with me today. Matt, last Thursday I moderated a legislative town hall type forum. And we talked about this. There were a number of legislators in the room, and everyone was excited about this. I don't know that anyone, and obviously I can't speak for them, but this never came up. I mean, everything we talked about was how this was going to reduce tax rates. I think if we had told the crowd of people that night that, hey, 66% of people in the state, which means probably a number of you in this audience tonight, your taxes are going to go up, they would not have been as enthusiastic. So my question to you is, did legislators know the ramifications of this, or is this just something once we got this report, they realized, oh, wait a minute, maybe this is not going to work the way I thought it was?
Well, this is one of those times where, when folks talk about the sausage making of lawmaking, this is kind of where the proof's in the pudding. And, you can look at a good idea and say, all right, well, this is how we're going to get there. But then when the numbers folks look at it and say, well, this is what it's going to cost. This is what it's going to quote unquote cost us in the short term to get to a point where we normalize, and we get to a point where we're at a flat point and everybody's paying 100% of folks that are making money in the state at, up to a certain number are paying this number. That there is change, and with change comes change.
Yep.
And I think that, whether they knew it or not specifically, I think is kind of a moot point.
True.
And I say that
True.
just from the standpoint of, we've got to do something to get our state in line with our neighbors.
Yep.
We have folks come into the state and staying in the state, but we continue to hear time and time again, we're higher than everybody else, and we're not necessarily getting the benefit of being higher than everybody else. So what are we there for?
Yep.
And I think that when this fiscal impact statement hit, I believe it was on Sunday, I think, and all the news reports started hitting on Monday before we came back into session on Tuesday. I think that obviously there was some scrambling going on to figure out exactly if that's accurate or not. But I think, one thing is true to all of this. I think their heads are in the absolute right spot. This could be a very bipartisan issue if it's done correctly. I think there's some members of the Democratic caucus, especially in the House, that are looking at this and saying, wow, this is a good idea for the state. But again, proof's in the pudding in this. And I think that no piece of legislation is ever perfect, but it can be perfected through the process.
Yep.
And I think that's what we're going through.
Well, I guess we need to do a little fine tuning here,
Certainly.
and that's part of the process. I get that. So, Matt Wills with the Greenville Chamber, always a pleasure. Appreciate your time today, and we'll check in with you again next week.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
That's it for this special weekend edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.